Hey YouTube, Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. And today we're talking about things that knife guys will never do. So, knife guys never. And I've got to first off say thank you to those of you who contribute to this. This was a bit of a community effort. I put this question out on the Sharp Stuff Facebook page, which is sort of a Facebook page I maintain associated with the channel. And then over at the Canadian Knife and Gear Facebook page. Thanks a lot to all of you. The one thing I will add to that is there will be a part 2 to this video because I got so many comments that there's no way we can deal with all of them in one video. So if you don't see your comment here, just know that I saved it for the next video. The other thing I would say, if you're watching and you want to add to the conversation as well, I'd love to hear your comments down below. Knife guys never. Go ahead and fill in the blanks in the comment section down below. And just know that there's plenty of room in the next video to add some more discussion about this. All right, let's go ahead and get started, beginning with our very first and probably most obvious point is that knife guys never walk around or especially leave the house without a knife. Honestly, I usually even try to keep a knife close at hand if I'm just laying around the house in my boxers, because on the off chances there's a fire call, I'm probably going to want to be able to throw a knife in my pocket as I run out the door. So even, you know, if I'm in my pajamas or just laying around watching TV, I either have a knife in my pocket or very close at hand, because there are just so many things that you can do with it. So walk around without a knife, of course, that's going to be number one. Number two, bring just one knife on a trip. If I'm going on a trip, now especially of course if it's a camping trip, but even if it's just a trip out of town, I like to make sure that I've got options. I don't know if I'm going to be, you know, going for a hike in the woods or going out for a fancy dinner or, you know, wearing, you know, shorts or jeans or whatever. So because of that, I want to have, you know, a good, you know, overall selection of knives to carry depending on what my needs dictate on any given day. And because of that, when I travel, I usually have, you know, two fixed blades or so, and between 5 and 7 folders, along with whatever other specific thing I feel like I might need that particular time. Next up, number 3, knife guys never tell their wife the real cost of their knives. And by the way, if anyone is wondering, and if my wife is watching, all of these knives I got in trades or were sent to me for review. I didn't pay a dime for any of them, regardless of what my Visa statement may indicate. These were all just free and magically appeared in my collection. By the way, don't sell any of them for those prices that I just mentioned, or start giving them away on me. I'll deal with all that kind of stuff. So never tell the wife the real cost. One guy said the 80-20 rule. I tell my wife that 80% of my knives cost 20% of their real value. So number 4, closely related to this one, is knife guys never admit that they have an addiction. Now, I don't know if you are a knife guy who's on Instagram, which you probably should be. It's a pretty cool place if you're part of this hobby. You probably have seen all of the addiction memes that are out there, memes. I know I never say it right, that are out there. But by the way, I've looked into this, and a true addiction only counts if it negatively affects your life. So, you know, when you think about that just a little, I think all of us have to admit that a knife is going to positively affect your life. Of course it will. How could it not? And therefore, collecting knives, buying knives could never qualify as an addiction, because an addiction is something that you can't help doing, but which negatively impacts your life. And since, of course, knives are going to be a positive impact, it just won't work, all right? Next up, knife guys never. Now, there's one big exception to this next one, but knife guys never carry tip down. Okay, you'll notice that all of the clips on these are appropriately placed for tip up carry. The only exception to this rule is if you're carrying a Spyderco military. And Spyderco, if you're watching, please create a military that can be carried properly. And all of us in the knife community will thank you for it and buy one, okay? So knife guys never carry tip down. Knife guys, number 6, never pry with a knife. Now, I know, guys, that there are some knives that can probably handle it. Whoops, a blade like this is pretty hefty and ground very thick at the tip. So you might get away with some light prying with this knife. Even though that's probably true, I would still never do it. Okay, even if the knife is, you know, very budget friendly and I don't care if I break it, you know, a pry bar is even more budget friendly, and then I really don't care if I break it, but I'm much less likely to do so. All right, so knife guys, never pry with a knife. And I've got to tell you guys, I was putting a new caliper on my truck, and you know, if you've bought a new caliper before, they come with a little plug in the connection point where you hook up your brake line. And I've got this caliper in my hands and I'm looking at this stupid plug and I'm trying to fight it out with my fingernails or something. And I've got a knife right there in my pocket, and the guy helping me goes, "You have a knife in your pocket, why don't you just use that?" And I was just like, I can't even dignify that with a response. There's no way I'm sticking my knife onto that hard metal and start prying to get that stopper, I guess, out of the caliper. Just was not going to happen. Next up, knife guys, never carry a dull knife. However, you probably can carry something like this. This is a great option for outdoors or whatever. This is the Work Sharp guided sharpener. I can't remember what the specific name of this one is, but I will put a link down below to I will put Amazon links down below to this, as well as a number of these other knives that you've seen. Not all of them are available on Amazon, but if they are, I will try my best to include links, or at the very least, a link to my store. And if you do follow those links, then that's a huge benefit to the channel. Now, carry a dull knife. So whether you carry something like this, I usually carry a small leather strop. There are tons of options. In fact, I recently saw, I think on Birdshot's channel, a whole bunch of keychain size knife strops. So there's really no excuse to have a dull knife. Even if you've done something that's really going to dull it, you can go ahead and touch it up right there in the field. Knife guys, number 8, never finish collecting. Never finish collecting. There's always another knife to hunt. Even when you go out and find that grail knife that you've been searching for years, you've saved up, you've traded for everything you can, you've sold off half your collection, you buy the grail knife and it's there in your pocket and you're just loving it. But one of the things you're going to do that day is check the new arrivals on Blade HQ. I just know you are, especially if you are a real knife guy. You are just never satisfied. You're never finished collecting. Number 9, knife guys, never buy a knife at Walmart or Canadian Tire. Okay, buy a knife at Walmart or Canadian Tire. I know that Walmart in the States has got some decent options available these days. I mean, it's not amazing, but at the very least, there's some decent knives that can be had. Canadian Tire, on the rare day, will do so. But even when you do buy one of those Walmart or Canadian Tire knives, you don't tell your friends that, okay? All of my knives, as far as everyone else knows, came from Blade HQ, because that's where all the cool kids buy their knives. So number 9, knife guys, never buy a knife at Walmart or Canadian Tire. By the way, along those lines, knife guys, never go into a Walmart or Canadian Tire without going and checking out the knife section, or any big box store, Bass Pro, Cabela's, whatever other, you know, Sale, Mountain Equipment Co-op, and we could go on and on. They all have a knife section, and you just can't go into one of those stores without checking that knife section out. Number 10, knife guys, never hand someone a knife without explaining its value and significance. Okay, and there are 2 reasons for that. One, you know, it's something you love and you're excited about, and you've got to get someone to understand that this is not just a cutting tool, it's a paramilitary too. It is one of the most popular folding knives in existence, one of the most well-made, well-rounded, well-loved, you know, just nearly a perfect piece of cutlery. And if someone else is using it who doesn't know that, they just need to know. Okay, that's number 1. But number 2, if you're handing someone something like this, okay, you want them to understand that you break it, you buy it is not going to work with this, because most people, there's no way they're going to be able to afford it. And so you have to express the need that this has got to be carefully cared for. All right, some knives it's not such a big deal, but even then, you know, I really don't want to have to reprofile even this cheap knife. And so I want people to take a little bit of care with it, not go and cut on a ceramic plate or plow the blade into a cinder block or something like that. All right, now let's, after we've covered the main 10 do a couple of little extra pieces here. And this is what I'm going to call smart guys never. Okay, smart knife guys never. Miss my videos, or of course disagree with what I say in my videos, number one. Number two, buy a Benchmade without handling it first. Number three, buy a Gerber at all. All right. Number four, go on blade forums and talk bad about Chris Reeve knives. If you want to get attacked from all sides, go ahead and try it. But I'm telling you, it's a bad idea to talk badly about Chris Reeve knives on blade forums. You're just going to lose. All right. Buy from an unknown seller. All right. Buy from an unknown seller. Always a bad idea. And smart guys never fail to have an Instagram account, to join the Sharp Stuff Facebook page. And if you've got an Instagram account, you may as well follow me anyway over there. So there you go, guys. Knife guys never. I'd love to hear your further comments and discussion down below, because there are many more points that could be made. And in fact, many more points have been made. And give me a couple of weeks and I will get to the part 2 of this, where I add the stuff that I just didn't have time for in this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.